Robinson. He was selected by the Atlanta Hawks in the 1995 NBA draft. After his professional basketball career, he embarked on a coaching career which began in high school and continued at Purdue. In 2008, he became head coach at Missouri State, where they won the CIT championship, made NIT appearances. 2011, became head coach at the University of Tennessee, where they made 2 NIT appearances at the NCAA Sweet 16. 2014, became coach of the California Golden Bears, where they made NIT appearances and NCAA appearances. 2017, became head coach of the University of the Missouri Tigers, where he is now present. Please accept Cuonzo Martin.
I've been to a lot of places. Thank you. I really appreciate being here now. Before I get started, Horatio wanted me to talk about Michael Porter, who's a guy projected to be a top 5 pick in the draft. I would imagine if he was healthy this year, he'd probably be the #1 guy. He's a talented kid. There's so much more I think I need to give you guys. It's very important being from East St. Louis, and I just feel like I'm a part of Detroit. My assistant coach, Corn, man. Can you stand up, Corn? He's from Detroit. But just being from East St. Louis and spending a lot of time here. Played at Purdue, so we had a lot of fun going against Michigan and Michigan State when I was in college. Those were good times. But I just think the impact for you guys as coaches is profound. And I'm going to give you 2 examples. My high school coach, Benny Lewis, who's 80 years old, and Gene Katie, who's my college coach, is 82. And Coach Corn and I were in the car earlier today, and Coach Katie calls me all the time. And sometimes he forgets that he just called me about an hour ago. Not that he's seen out or anything, so I'm not saying that. But he talks as if he's my grandfather, my father. And obviously, I'm not ashamed to say, Coach heard me say, I say, I love you, Coach, and we say we love each other. Same with my high school coach. I said, Coach, I love you. I love you. My high school coach, growing up in East St. Louis, if you know anything about that, which is 100% black, it's a tough environment. And it wasn't tough going through it because that's where I'm from. My mom raised, my dad wasn't around. My brother spent 10 years in prison. Both of my sisters had babies at 19. One of them ended up getting a master's, one of them ended up getting a PhD, so very successful. When I was in college, I never went to summer school. I would spend my summers making money to send it home. I send my Pell Grant home. And I took pride in that as a young guy. I didn't really know the impact of it, just knew I had to give. So I say all that to say, as coaches, when you guys, you might not get the I love you, coach, right now, but you eventually get it. So I don't think you should do this to get applause and praise so your players can pat you on the back and the media applaud you for your work. Because your work is done over time if it's done the right way and it's done from the heart. And so now me at 46 years old, I take a tremendous amount of pride in saying to both of those guys, I love you. And we have a great conversation because everything they told me, I stood on it and I didn't flinch. And my mom raised me. She was a maid and she worked at a bar at night for years. And she always taught us respect. That was the most important thing. It didn't matter where it came from, who it came from, just respect for authority. And I can safely say to this day, as I stand here as a man, with all sincerity, because I love God, I have a tremendous passion for God. I was never late, never disrespected coaches. And I felt like I was one of the toughest guys every time I stepped on the floor. It didn't matter what environment, who I was up against. But I wasn't a tough guy off the floor by any stretch. When I stepped on the wood, I was as tough as any guy that I went up against. But I knew when the level of respect that was needed to do the right things. So I say all that to say for you guys, on all those days you feel like it's not important, or this kid is not listening, he's listening. He's listening, he just doesn't know how to show it. And I think the hard part nowadays, for some of you guys my age, you guys have done a great job coaching, and you hear this all the time, and the kids have changed, No, they haven't. They just raised differently. So what happened, as opposed to us keep boxing back and forth, the kids are changing, we're boxing, knocking each other out. Let's take a step back as coach, so let me figure this thing out. Why have they changed? Okay, with it. Because for years, in most cases, at least where I'm from, the dad hadn't been in the home. So that hadn't changed. the street, everybody criticizes AAU ball. I think AAU ball is a beautiful thing. Summer ball is a beautiful thing. You got any summer coaches, because what happens is not many coaches would come to East St. Louis recruiting. We got great players, so they saw us at opposing sites at tournaments, so they never came to East St. Louis. We played all our games on the road unless it was the other local high school. So what happens when you have AAU events, that's exposure for young kids. So that guy that's 7, 8, 9 guy would have never got a look, but all of a sudden he get a college scholarship off one tournament. And guess what? That's between $200,000 and $500,000 his mom doesn't have to pay to go to school. So he's winning the game. So I think it's very important we understand as coach. Let's take a step back, the impact of this AAU thing. So now as a coach, a high school coach, you got the true passion for the young man being successful. Let's figure this thing out when it comes to summer ball. Let's help him make his way. Because at the end of the day, if we can get all our kids in school, somebody's school in Detroit's a different city 20 years from now. East St. Louis is a different city 20 years from now. The Bronx, New York is a different city 20 years from now. And all of a sudden we have a positive impact instead of keeping them off those streets. And the thing that bothers me more than anything, when you see these young guys on the streets and you walk around in these environments, these beautiful places. Detroit's a beautiful city, but you got bars on different buildings and stores and restaurants, and they still open. That shouldn't happen. You go to Beverly Hills, there ain't no bars in them stores and all them restaurants. That shouldn't have happened. So that's a caution we have to continue to foster. So all of a sudden we got great environments. We shouldn't have to play games in the early PM just so at night nobody's kicking up dust. That doesn't happen in other places I've been to. So I think all those things are important as coaches, your impact as leaders and as men. These kids lean on you every word. And I think that's very important to understand that. Now, when you're talking about the structure of a coach, I've been a lot of different places. I had to build programs, and that's the only way I like it. If it's already built, I don't want no parts of it. I want to be part of the building process. We took over the job at Mizzou. They picked us to finish 5th in the league with Michael Porter, who was projected to be the #1 pick in the draft. He didn't play all season long except for those last 2 games, and we finished 4th in the league. And obviously, Coach Cuonzo did a tremendous job as an assistant coach. You should be proud of Detroit for the way he represents. But we fought, we scratched and clawed, we played hard. We still got ways to go as a program. But the things that we've always talked about, because you have to have a level of structure, a level of organization as a coach, and a level of discipline. But I think oftentimes on a high school level, it's really hard to drive that young man at the level I need to drive him because I don't want to lose him. I don't care about losing him. Because God has blessed my path, and whatever it is, I'm following his lead. Whatever he says do, that's what I'm doing. In John 14:14, he said, if you ask my name, I will give it. So I've already asked him. So I'm already blessed my path. It's just a matter of time when I get there. So now on this level, I'm just doing my job. And every young man I can help, I'll help him. And in the process, if somebody else can help him, help him. We get so caught up in guys transferring. Well, as long as you're getting somebody else's school, it's all good. I mean, people get divorced, they still live. It's all the same. Let's keep moving. So as long as that young man can find his way in life, then we've done our job. Instead of beating him up when he transfers, I don't got nothing against him. Can I help? Anything I do for you? Okay, I got you. Go and find your way. That's life. And that's what men do. And you got a lot of wonderful, I know a lot of guys, a lot of good guys in there. We got to figure out a way to stay on the same page. If a guy transfers, man, you got rules, he can't transfer. Man, transfer what you want to transfer. I think the most important thing to do is make sure they get it done in the classroom. Because now I'm looking at some of these transcripts now, and he played a lot of summer ball. And I'm looking at this transfer like, man, he can't get anybody's school. And somehow he managed just to get in somebody's school. He couldn't have done that work at that amount of time. That's a rapid rate to finish those many classes and get in somebody's school. And you look up 10 years later, that guy on somebody's street corner. You don't go ahead and pass him along. I can make between 10, in some cases, 200 grand off a kid. Nobody know anything about it. So that kid sold different cars, different place. I'll give you a story. This is a true story. A guy asked me for a job. Now, he's a good guy. I like him. We don't hang out like that. I mean, he's a good guy. His son played for a top 25 team this year. He was a freshman, one of the best in the country. I don't want to say the school, but his dad asked me for a job. But his son wasn't playing for my team. So it's good enough for them. You catch my drift. So understanding, guys, when you coaching and teaching these young guys, discipline, organization, structure, doing the right things all the time. Even if that means I have to lose you and I just lost you. Go to somebody that's at school. Because we keep passing them along and they don't have the right tools to survive, then we all lose. And we got to keep putting balls in these restaurants, these beautiful restaurants. I went to a restaurant last night, had great food, balls in a restaurant. Somehow we got to stop that. I know that's a different subject, but that impacts all of us. Now, about Michael Porter, there's really not a lot to say, because I've had good players. I hired his dad on the staff. I think he's a good guy. It's a talent. I think if he was healthy, 16 could shoot the ball. One of the best guys, probably the best guy I've ever seen at that age in shooting the ball. Make 10, 11, 12, 13 shots in a row, won't hit the rim. We double team him in practice. He passed out a double right and left hand easy. If you saw the last 2 games, he wasn't healthy. He was healthy, but he wasn't in shape because he didn't practice. And the one thing I say about that kid, which I have a tremendous amount of respect for him doing this, he said, Coach, I want to play. And I try to really put it off because I didn't want him to play. Man, just, you know what, everybody always makes a big deal, man. You start, you start, you don't want to get hurt again. All of a sudden you don't play. He didn't care nothing about that. And here's a guy got a chance with no one pick. Most guys would not have played because people that invest in the wrong things for their kids said, don't play. I wouldn't play if I were you. Kid said, I'm playing. He wanted to play. Though he wasn't in great shape, didn't practice a lot. He was out from November the 10th until whenever he played. He probably had 4 practices from November 10th, 4 practices. When you saw him on the floor, that was all hard. 4 practices, only 2 of them were just kind of half-hearted because it was late in the season. We were already down 7 guys. We had 7 scholarship guys. He became the 8th guy. So 4 total practices, and that was him in those last 2 games. So that tells you the type of guy he is and the type of talent he is. Was willing to lay it on the line to say, heck, what somebody says about my stop, I'm playing this game. So that kind of tell you about Michael Porter Jr. Now, any questions you have, anything, because I can go on and on, anything you have. Thank you.